Hello. If you're watching this, it means I already have first place in Blade Scrabbles on this server. But how did this happen? Well, we have to go back to July 11th, 2023. I was looking at Worm's server and saw that a user named Marie had recently gotten the server record for the most Blade Scrabble. She seemed pretty happy about this, and I had a little thought. What if I was the one who was in first place? Now, genius idea, I know, but how would I do it? My first plan was to play Blade songs on a Spotify playlist using an old phone I had until I got first place. Now, something important to note is that I did not have Spotify Premium, so I would just be playing Blade songs at random, all of them at varying lengths, and sometimes it wouldn't even play a Blade song. At my current rate, I was getting a total of 17.3 Blade Scrabbles per hour, which is pretty agonizingly slow. At this rate, it would have taken me 47 days to pass Marie, and even then, that was assuming she never increased in Scrabbles, so I needed a better plan. The first thing I had to do was buy Spotify Premium, so I had already sunk $10 into this little experiment. Second thing I had to do was to find the shortest possible Blade song on Spotify. I went through nearly every Blade song ever made, and eventually I found it. The song was titled It's Okay to Not Be Okay, and it was only 1 minute and 17 seconds long, so I set up a looping playlist with just this song in it and allowed me to reach 50 Blade Scrabbles per hour. This means that I would be able to surpass Marie in only 16.5 days instead of 47, which is way faster. Now, if I was going to take this seriously, it meant it was time to break out the spreadsheets. I had decided to not only track Marie's Scrabbles, but also Rigel's Scrabbles, as he was in second place and might try to make a comeback. Now, to gather the Scrabble data before July 11th, I went back through the history of the last FM bot on Worm's server. It isn't extremely accurate, as there was a huge information gap between February through May. I used the information I had to guess how much Rigel and Maria's Scrabbles would increase as time went on. I even made a nice little graph to show all of it. At the end of the day, I had finished my first draft of the spreadsheet and predicted that I would surpass Marie in Scrabbles by July 29, 2023. I dubbed the day that I would be number one in Blade Scrabbles Blade Day. Tomorrow I would look for new ways to speed up my Scrabbles and also see the accuracy of my projections for the future. The next day I went to work on the spreadsheet. I originally wasn't sure how I'd check Marie and Rigel's Scrabbles without them knowing. If anyone found out what I was doing, it would ruin the surprise. But it turns out I didn't have to worry because the Discord Last FM bot has a special feature for comparing music tastes with another user. Just right-click their name, select apps, and click compare taste, and you could discover just how many Scrabbles the other user had. I also discovered that even if you aren't logged into Last FM through Discord, it will show the last number of Scrabbles it remembers you having. This initially had me worried because when I last logged out, I was at 239 Blade Scrabbles. This would have set me at 9th on the leaderboard and could arouse suspicion for how I got that many Scrabbles in such a short amount of time. Thankfully, nobody would look at the leaderboard for a while, and I was safe. Another discovery I had was that I was not reaching 50 Scrabbles per hour like I had initially calculated. Instead, I was only getting 47 per hour. Because of this, I had to again change my projections, which changed Blade Day from July 29th to the 31st. As for Rigel and Marie's projections, it wasn't much better. While I was accurate with how much Rigel's Scrabbles would increase, by being only one number off, I was extremely off with Marie. Instead of 70, she had 93 Scrabbles. Overall, this whole day didn't bring a lot of good news. It seems that time would just keep increasing until I reached Blade Day. But that all changed the next day. How long do you actually have to listen to a song for it to count as a full Scrabble? Well, I decided to look it up, and I found a Reddit thread that stated you actually only have to listen to 50% of a song for it to count as a full Scrabble, which was huge. It would essentially cut the time it would take to reach Blade Day in half. I started work as soon as I got home. First things first, I decided to switch to an old school Chromebook I had instead of my old phone. The phone was extremely laggy, and I figured that was what was costing me those extra Scrabbles I should have been getting. Using a computer would also allow me to use an auto-clicker, letting me skip songs exactly when they reached 50% completion. I also bought an extra charger and a 6-outlet surge protector. This meant I had spent over $60 on this experiment, so at this point I was really committed. I found an auto-clicker extension and set it to click the skip song button every 40 seconds. I checked the Last FM website after an hour to see how many Scrabbles I was getting, and it was an enormous improvement. I had gone from 17 Scrabbles per hour to 47, and now I was at 90 Scrabbles per hour. This would help me reach Blade Day unimaginably faster than I first thought. As for my Marie and Rigel projections, it was nothing too crazy. Rigel only had an increase in 12 that day, and it was at this point where I realized I probably didn't need to keep track of his Scrabbles anymore, but I kept doing it anyways for the fun of it. Marie had an increase in Scrabbles by 71. This was about what I had first guessed her Scrabble increase would be. I also created a new section of my spreadsheet dedicated to tracking how many Scrabbles everyone increased by per day. This way I could take the average of their daily Scrabble increases and use that to guess how much they would increase by in the future. Using my new technique along with the Scrabble projections, I knew when Blade Day would happen. July 22nd, 2023. From the initial date of August 26 all the way down to this was a huge improvement. Overall, this was probably the best day I had with this experiment. The next few days don't have much interesting stuff happening, since I felt like I had already reached the perfect possible Scrabble speed. July 14th, Rigel had an increase of 9 Scrabbles and Marie had an increase of 11. July 15th, Rigel has an increase of 10 while Marie has an increase of 58. July 16th, Rigel has no increase, Marie has an increase of 77. July 17th, Rigel has an increase of 19 while Marie has no increase. Also, today was the day I actually started listening to Blade, and yeah, it's actually some pretty good music. July 18th, Rigel has an increase of 20 while Marie has no increase. July 19th, however, was somewhat of an interesting day, but for a very bad reason. I woke up at 6 a.m. to discover that my Chromebook wasn't connected to internet anymore. I was able to fix it just fine, but I lost around 540 Scrabbles because of that hiccup. It was largely because of this and the fact that I had to work Saturday that I decided to delay Blade Day to Sunday. Marie and Rigel also had pretty large increases this day, with Rigel having an increase of 60 and Marie having an increase of 137. July 21st, 2023. Marie had an increase of 16, Rigel had an increase of 4. July 22nd, Rigel had an increase of 37, Marie had an increase of 78. I'm writing this script before the 23rd, so there's going to be a lot of assuming on my part here, but hopefully, if everything went right, then I am currently number 1 on the Blade Scrabble leaderboard. Yeah. That's enough. Now you're all probably wondering, why? Why Lightning? Why'd you do it? Well, you see, I've been extremely bored this entire summer, and I wanted to do a fun little joke that wouldn't hurt anyone, and that hopefully you might have enjoyed. Filling out my Scrabble spreadsheet has been a very enjoyable part of my day for the past week or so. Now, if you're Marie or Rigel, you're probably like, hey, I spent all my time legitimately listening to Blade music, and then this schmuck just comes up and steals first place? And yeah, I agree. So if you'd like, I can probably just delete my last FM account or do whatever would bring the leaderboard back to normal. Okay, that's all I have for this little experiment. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Have a good day.